This set is very much just kind of thrown together. I didn't need to tell you that. You could tell. For some reason, you watched a movie review channel and not the rest of the channels in the network. By the way, we just moved, so new set or whatever. I'll think of something. I still got a lot of posters that I want to hang up for the new movie reviews area, but this was the channel that I was most eager to get back to, and I wanted to make this video, take a break from all my unpacking and setting everything up, and get out my thoughts on The Lion King before I forget it, because I did see it quite a while ago, back when it was a little bit more relevant, and I have thoughts on it, so I thought I would share them with you today. Let's begin. So, man, I may feel like an echo to a lot of you who have seen reviews of Lion King out there, but they have done, like, a literal textbook definition of the term shot-for-shot remake. Like, that is literally as close as you get. I think right off the bat, I want to just list the things that I think they changed, and there's really not that many. Okay, so the first thing is Scar and the hyenas do not have a predetermined relationship. In the original, they already knew each other, and Scar even gave them food. In this movie, they've never met, but again, it doesn't really change the flow of the movie that much. Scar comes to the hyenas with his idea to kill Mufasa, and they of course go along with the idea. And really, what else did they change? I mean, Zazu had a few lines that were not exactly the same as the original. I'm pointing these things out because so much of this film was literally line for line the same. You know when they break into song and there's colors and big vibrant shifts and tones everywhere with the nature and all these different animals? That didn't happen. Whenever it was usually time to sing, the animals just kind of run around, frolic. There was an added scene where Nala runs off from Pride Rock to go find help, and there was an added scene where Scar asks Simba's mother to join and feast with him because then all the other lionesses will like him, and she doesn't. Even that scene was kind of in the original, but ultimately, The Lion King 2019 is very, very much The Lion King, and I knew that this was gonna be a remake, and I try to be a bit more optimistic when it comes to these types of things. Like, you guys remember my Aladdin video? I thought it was pretty good. I thought they did a decent job at bringing new things to the table, new characters, new approaches, new jokes. A lot of that was thanks to the casting of Will Smith as the genie. Whether you like Will Smith or not, they gave it a genuine different approach. They tried something else so that they could bring new life and new energy to that same Aladdin story. Of course, the general plot is still the same, but they tweak some things around that give you a little bit of comparison to work with. You know, it's always fun when we have YouTube videos comparing, like, here's the animated version, here's the live action version. But that's really only good in, like, montage forms. It's good to have those kinds of shots for people out there who want to compare the live action to the animated for a couple of seconds each. You know, that's not really supposed to last the entire movie. With The Lion King, when I was watching it, it almost felt like you could have put the animated version right next to it, and they would have been beat for beat the same movie, just with different styles of animation. I honestly want to do that now and see how close they would be. I feel like they would be incredibly similar because of how insanely close they followed to the original. Maybe some people like that. You know, some people have the mentality of, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Maybe if you haven't seen The Lion King, the original version, in a long, long time, then perhaps it wouldn't be that awkward or that weird to watch the new remake, because you'll be kind of reliving it for the first time in a while. But I kind of made the mistake of only about 4 to 5 days before watching the new Lion King, I watched the animated version, and it was very, very fresh in my head, like the beats of the film and all the scenes and how they play out. So I had the original very, very fresh in my mind, and that was a mistake. If you're thinking about watching the remake of Lion King, make sure you haven't seen the original in a long, long time, because it's going to make you feel like you're watching the exact same movie. Animation-wise, it's all very impressive. Of course, the advancements in computer technology over the years that allow for, you know, hyper-realistic animation is quite impressive, but I gotta admit, it kind of wears off after a while. It was really, really cool for about the first 10 minutes, and then after that, you were just kind of like, okay, they're lions, they look like lions, and kind of not knowing where the film is going is sort of an important part of your enjoyment of a film, and it's very difficult to accommodate for that fact with a remake. The fact that the majority of your audience knows where the film is going. They know what characters are going to do what things. They know how the plot is going to unfold. So usually you have to change things up a bit then with either new characters, altering the plot in some way that either makes more sense, helps kind of improve on what already has been built, or at least provide something different in some way. And that is probably the biggest issue with the remake of Lion King, is they just didn't try to do anything differently other than the things I mentioned at the beginning of the video, which again don't change really the dynamic of the film at all. They're just little tiny smidges, tiny nuggets of changes. But honestly, yeah, this is one of the more depressing, in my mind, Disney remakes in more recent years. I know they're making a lot of them now, but a lot of them seem like they're trying different approaches. You know, it's not just enough that it's realistic now and it looks like it's real. They also have to alter the plot in some ways and give it some new life and change a few characters around just for the sake of trying to give perspective, trying to give another take on it. And before I watched the movie, you know, I wanted to give it the entire benefit of the doubt. I had the mindset of like, The Lion King is a very popular musical for many, many years that people go watch on Broadway. You know, it's not like they don't know what's gonna happen, but it's just a different form of art. The cartoon was a very beautifully animated film, and that is a form of art. This is a different form, using computers and using animation and trying to be as realistic as possible and not trying to animate it in the 2D form, but try to make it as realistic as possible so that it feels like we're watching a National Geographic documentary. I get it, you know, that is an art form and it's just another story that they wanted to give a new perspective on. And also, I want to mention that the Lion King story itself is not a very original one. The whole plot point of the king being betrayed and the uncle taking over the throne and then the long-lost prince has to come back and reclaim the throne, it's a tale as old as time. It's literally thousands of years old. The original Lion King didn't have that original of a script. They just knew they had animators and they knew that animating animals would be funny and also appeal to kids and be a good challenge for the people that were animating at Disney for the time. So that's why they gave a very classic story a modern twist with their own animation. And to an extent, that's still what they're doing with the remake of Lion King. It's the retelling of a story we all know. It's just they're reusing so much of the same names and the brand, and we all know why they do it. It's a recognizable title. They know that if they bring out the same branding and the same music and the same actors, even to a certain extent, James Earl Jones is back, then they're likely to guarantee a lot more ticket sales than if they were to create a new film and do the same hyper-realistic animation. No one's gonna go watch, like, Realistic Lions, the movie, who roam around Africa. And you know, I don't want to say that the remake of Lion King is, like, completely useless or completely unnecessary. To me, I would kind of recommend watching this film kind of the same way you would watch a Minecraft ultra high realistic graphics mod on YouTube. You watch it, you know, to see kind of what is possible at the time. Like if I had like a super amazing gaming PC and I could render out really, really great distances at super high frame rates and resolutions, you could see like, oh, cool, that's what's possible today. That's what Minecraft is fully capable of looking like now. You should kind of look at the Lion King remake the same way. It's like, yeah, I know this story. I've heard of it before. I know how it goes. I know these characters. But you just kind of watch it to see what technology is capable of these days. And I mean, hey, that's a huge demographic. A lot of people go out to the movies just because they're very impressed with the animation. Avatar just barely got dethroned by Endgame recently. That film is just a retelling of Pocahontas, and it's got really good animation, so it brought a lot of people out to the theater. The remake of Lion King is now the highest grossing animated film of all time. It just passed Frozen, which is insane to me because it's such just a shot-for-shot retelling of what we've already seen. But this kind of shows you how much people are willing to pay to just watch the same movie with some updated graphics, you know, RTX on. It's both interesting to a certain extent and at the same time depressing that we're willing to spend all this money to see the same movie that we've already seen again. And that sadly means it may encourage more of these in the future. Disney may continue to just take some of their old animated films and just update them with more realistic graphics and send them out to the theater and be like, yep, that's good enough. I hope that's not the case. I hope they hear a lot of the backlash. I hope they hear a lot of people's criticisms of the new Lion King, which is nothing to do with the animation or nothing to do with the new voice actors or nothing really to do with the new music. I've been listening to the soundtrack a lot. It's a great new soundtrack. I'm glad they got Hans Zimmer back. Beyonce's a great singer, of course. Donald Glover's a great singer. Their new covers of old Lion King classics are very fun to listen to. But the reason the film is being trashed so much critically is just because of how painfully close it was to the original. Like I said, I was prepared to give this movie a fair shot, but I had to agree with everyone once I actually saw it that it was like, you can just change a little bit, can't you? Just add in a character that wasn't there before, or change up some plot directions so that the flow of the movie can go in a little bit of a different direction. Give Rafiki more scenes or something, I don't know, but yeah, I have to agree with most people on this movie. The fact that they were literally following like the rack focusing and the same audio and visual gags of the original, like Simba roaring and it's not very loud, and then the hyenas are like, oh man, that's all you got, go ahead, do it again, and then he roars and it's really loudly, and it's because, oh, Mufasa showed up. The whole theater had no suspense there. You know, with the original, when we hear Simba roar and it's actually really loud, everyone's kind of like, wait, what? That didn't make it. Oh, Mufasa's there. Or when you see the buzzards circling Simba in the desert, it's like, boy, I wonder who's gonna show up in this scene. Or the same jokes in the Hakuna Matata song, like, what's a motto with you? They just reuse so much of the same material. Timon and Pumbaa are probably the best part of the film because I felt like Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen actually just kind of had improv with each other. Their dialogue didn't feel like it was directly lifted from the original, so it felt a little bit refreshing, but again, their part of the movie is quite small. The Lion King is not a very long film, and the amount of time he spends out with Timon and Pumbaa is not that long. And again, though, the same jokes of Pumbaa being like, I thought the stars were balls of gas burning millions of miles away, and Timon saying, no, they're fireflies that got caught up in that bluish black thing. It's like, please, just have an original thought for a second. I know you can do it. I enjoyed the Aladdin remake. There was new characters in that. There were new directions in that. There were twists to the plot that made sense and explained a lot of things. They made changes that I thought were completely justified in Aladdin. You may have not liked it, but you at least have to give it credit for trying something a little bit different. With Lion King, they were just like, let's not take any chances. Let's just do exactly what they did before. Just leave everything the same. And by the way, James Earl Jones' voice, it's starting to show signs of age. He's not even in the film, and I can tell he doesn't want to be here. His voice was so old and trembly, and it made Mufasa feel like a great-grandfather more than he did a dad. In the original, his voice had like power and emotion, and in this one, it still has that power, but at the same time, you can tell there's this like really old guy saying these lines that he's already said before, and he's not really excited that he's reading them again. There's like less eye contact between Mufasa and Simba in this one. He's just talking to him like, and what's worse is you put Nala in danger. I thought I might lose you today. It's like, you look at your son when you talk to him. Let him know that you care about him and try to let him know that the situation is serious. In the original, he delivered it like, and what's worse is you put Nala in danger. I am only brave when I have to be. I thought I might lose you. You know, they had weight to a lot of the lines delivered. The lines James delivered in this one were kind of just like business as usual. He's just like, all right, let's get this over with. I am your father. No, wait, different movie. So anywho, I can't really say I hated watching it. It was cool seeing the updated animation. I kind of liked seeing a different art style of like what would Lion King look like if it was real. But you know, animals don't sing and talk either, so it's not like we really needed it. A lot of people were complaining about the expressions on animals' faces, saying that, you know, lions and animals in real life can't really express the way they did in the cartoon, and that's a bad thing, so it really takes out a lot of the emotion. I didn't really find it as distracting as a lot of people said it was gonna be. You know, I noticed it. They're definitely far more expressive in the original, but the voice actors still made it work for me. I didn't think it was a big issue watching the film. The lack of facial expressions didn't really bother me. I could still get everything across. And there were a lot of scenes where animals would be running or lions would be chasing each other, and I would just think to myself, wow, that really looks like a lion. But there were other scenes, primarily ones with the little cubs running around, where I was like, I mean, this is really good animation, but it's still very much animation. Lots of scenes where I was just like, yeah, I can tell this is animated. It doesn't look realistic. It's very good animation, but you're not fooling my eyes into thinking that this is real. Couple of scenes with different lighting, they could trick me into thinking that there were actually lions or elephants running around, but I would definitely say those were far and few between. We're getting really good at realism, but we're not quite all the way there yet to the point of indistinguishable, but that could just be because I know lions don't talk and I know the film is animated. Maybe if you told someone that this film was shot with real animals, you could fool them, but the way their little ears twitch and stuff like that when they're talking or looking around and things like that, they've done a really good job at imitating how animals truly behave. But yeah, ultimately that's not enough to carry an entire film for for interest for me. It was fun to see what computers can do these days, but man, was this film in desperate need of just a mix-up of any kind. Just a new character, a new take in direction, or just a new plot twist that was different from the original. Just anything really could have been added to this movie, and I think everyone would have been fine with it. They just needed just a little bit of spice. Just please, mix it up next time a little bit. So that wraps up my thoughts on The Lion King. What did you think of it? I want to know. Hit me up over on Twitter or join our Discord. We can talk more about it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have an excellent day. Take care.